All right. Hello. So, um, today I'll be showcasing Oracle of Ages Randomizer here for you all. Mind if my commentator introduce himself?
Hi, my name's Puffy. I speedrun this game. It's absolutely wild what Fox is doing here today.
Okay. So we're gonna close out the file name now. So what's the file name?
Our file name is going to be Bleps.
Bleps.
Excellent
Yes,
choice.
Bleps.
Is it just
BL,
lowercase for the rest?
Capital B and then lowercase LEPS. Bleps.
Okay. Alright, so if you see at the top it says Keysanity. So I'll explain this before we get started. So we got some settings for this randomizer that are turned on. So the big one is Keysanity. So there are a lot of keys in this game, and I'm going to need to find a bunch of them in order to actually complete the game. And then all the dungeons in this game are randomized between each entrance for them. So depending on what's going on, that's going to drastically affect the seed. It gives seeds a lot more variety in this game. And I also have a small setting known as tree warp, which I'll explain in a little bit. But if I may, we can give a countdown.
Alright. Ready in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Oh. I forgot about setting the text. Oops.
This
Close
is
enough,
essentially
close
a
enough.
speedrun. We're going the fastest text possible.
Oh, also, we have a $50 donation from Nathan is bored. It says, "Go Fox, get that jet seed."
That's exactly the thing I don't want to see. Ooh, okay. That's a good item to start with. So that's a siege satchel in the first chest.
And the seed that he got there is scent seeds. They're useful in a couple places, but it's not the most useful seed to start out with.
And the seed was actually rolled by my friend Mashi, who's in the chat right now. So,
And there you just saw the tree warp. Basically, it's just a quality of life that allows for a little bit easier overworld travel.
and I just went into the shop to check the shop item. It's just 50 rupees, so I don't have to worry about it. So all the remaining checks that I have are in the past, and the overworld of this game is split into both the past and the present, if you haven't seen this game before. So
Yeah, the Oracle of Ages is counterpart to the game Oracle of Seasons. And in the Oracle of Seasons, obviously, the mechanic is just solving puzzles in the overworld by switching to different seasons. This game has basically two different large overworlds. One is the past and one is the present. I see Beaver S pointed out in chat, we can get 50 rupees for the low price of 100 rupees. Absolutely.
yeah, it's the 150 rupee prize, so I didn't have to worry about it. It's a net loss of 100 rupees.
We also have a $50 donation from Wolfie that says, "Good luck, Fox."
We got a sword. So, because that sword's there, I'm gonna go check this this tree up here. So, in the randomizer, a late game area known as Ambi's Palace is just freely available. Like, it's just completely open to you, and in order to proceed through any seed, you have to know a bunch of stuff about this place being available. And we got Ember Seeds here. And there I just did a save warp. If you may explain, Puffy.
So basically, we want to go as fast as possible. And we were all the way up in Ambi's Palace there. So Fox utilized just saving and quitting so he could restart at an entrance that's closer to where he wants to go next. Very fast, very easy. You'll see a lot of save and quit warps during this run, depending on, of course, the items that Fox finds. And as it was mentioned previously, we found mostly items so far, which makes sense that they're just items that allow us to progress in the overworld up to this point. But we are looking for all of the keys in these chests as well. Small keys, big keys, and progression items. And that's the feather. That's a very good find.
That's a really good find early on.
So there are also randomized rings in the randomizer as well.
Okay, that's not anything right there.
The Zora ring, I believe, is a ring that just allows you to stay underwater for as long as you'd like. Not very useful in the sense of progressing in the randomizer, but a cool ring.
And the rings are automatically appraised as a quality of life thing, and you can go into your pause menu to automatically equip them. So, and that's one of the things I really like about this randomizer. So this fight always is spawned unless you have Moose's Flute, just so you can get to this grave over in this area.
We are saving the animals here. Yeah, Moosh is a big blue bear who flies.
And so the interesting thing about the randomizer as well is that the animal companion is not, you can't choose it like you do in the vanilla games. It's actually it's randomized which companion you are supposed to get. So that's one of the things I do enjoy about it.
You see there, Fox picked up a very important item there, the Tune of Echoes, and that allows him to open up portals into the past and the future. They're specific tiles. It's the first of 3 songs.
Old Mermaid Key. I'm gonna have to come back for that.
So in typical Zelda fashion, you need the flippers in this game to swim. So Fox doesn't have access to that item, that key that you saw up in the top left there, and that is one of the dungeon keys. So like he said, he will need to come back and get that. And this is the second tune for the Harp of Ages. Allows for free travel from the past into the present.
So with the Tune of Echoes, I can just play right here, and I don't have to go and through the Maku path like I did before. It saves a little bit of time just not having to do that.
As cozy as the Maku path is, it is a lot slower than simply opening up a portal elsewhere.
I'm going to use the Tuna Currents here. Check this chest, and then I'm gonna check the dungeon that's right nearby, because the dungeon is just available when you have the Tuna Currents.
And this is one of the great features of this randomizer, and Fox is going to be flexing this knowledge a lot here, just being able to transfer the right place, right where he needs to go from past to present. That's one of the harder things, in my opinion, to learn in the randomizer.
Oh, that's Dungeon 8, so I can't really do anything there.
And in typical randomizer fashion, the first dungeon we find is the last dungeon. A little difficult to do with 3 hearts, but I think Fox can do it if he has to.
Fortunately, there's one check in there that I could get if I had bombs, but I don't have bombs at the moment. And so I'm gonna go up to Ambi's palace again. Because we're gonna save the carpenters in the present area, which is the Noon Highlands, and the layout of Noon Highlands is dependent on your animal companion, which I'll see who it is. Oh, and we got Dimitri. That's really interesting.
We'll see Dimitri sometime in this run. Dimitri's a big red dragon. He can swim and eat things.
It's been a while since I've had to use Tuna Currents with it, the Dimitri area, so... Second carpenter's down here.
I'm jealous of these guys that can just jump right on water over these fast currents. It's an impressive feat of strength and speed.
It's right down the middle on this screen, I think. Right.
Perfect. And now the bridge into Symmetry City is built.
The main reason I came here was to check the seed tree. We got mystery seeds. So there's one more check here that I can... Oop. I accidentally said no. You have to say yes to start doing this check here. Um,
So now
this
this
is
is
just
fun. Fox is gonna go get the Toonie Nut now, which is in one of these houses in the top, left or right. Symmetry City stays true to its name. It's a symmetrical city. You see, Fox just went into the top right, entered, and exited. That's because the first choice you make in either case, whether top left or top right, is always the wrong choice. It's always going to be the other person that has the Toonie Nut, or the item that is supposed to be the Toonie Nut. So he just entered and exited and then went straight to the other one, setting that flag and getting the item. And the switch hook is a great find for overworld travel, and it helps a lot in the dungeons as well.
it's a major progression item. The switch hook, it unlocks a lot.
And thanks to chat, I was this many years old when I found out Toonie Nut is a palindrome. My mind has been blown.
So I'm gonna play the tuna cards right down here. Because this allows me to get to Tingle up here, and I can check both his items, having 3 different kinds of seeds. A library key. And so, with having found that switch hook, I'm gonna go up this way. Because that gave me Rolling Ridge access. The big thing to note about having Rolling Ridge access is if this tree up here happens to be the most important seed, which is Pegasus seeds, I'll have access to the east side of Rolling Ridge. Because the Pegasus seeds, like the Pegasus boots in a lot of other games, they make you go fast.
And speed is of the utmost importance.
There are 2 items in this cave. I'm just gonna check this one first.
More health at the start is always more of a comfort thing. Oh, those moblins did not want you around there.
Yeah, they did not, though. They were in like the worst spots.
Alright, hoping for Pegasus seeds. There they are, nice.
So, yeah. Pegasus seeds do make you move a lot faster, so it's nice to get them early.
Pegasus seeds do it all. You move faster like Fox said, you can jump farther with the feather. It opens up a lot as well. Like for this room, they are required. Otherwise, the floor just falls out underneath you, and you can't get to the staircase.
Now we have to do this fight with the Great Moblin.
You can see Fox is kind of delaying the throw there, right before it blows up. Otherwise, the Moblin's just gonna, like a game of hot potato, just throws it right back at you. You can also fight King Moblin in the Seasons game, too, the counterpart to this game. And instead of him just standing there, he actually like runs around across a whole top platform. This fight's a little easier than that one, and Fox did a great job just throwing those bombs right back.
And that's the first small key. So, like I said, we need a lot of small keys and all 8 boss keys in order to complete this seed. Yep, and then with Dungeon 8, the dungeon that I stopped by earlier, you also need 4 slates. Those are also in the item pool to get to the boss of that dungeon.
So that room we just saw Fox make the bridge for with that little wiggly worm, that mini mold worm, in any percent, that's kind of the bane of a lot of speedruns. In the speedrun, we don't have Pegasus Seeds at that point, and the optimal route is to do a double frame perfect bomb jump and damage boost over that gap with just bombs and feather. And here we're dancing.
Oh, I'm not sure why I messed that up.
Hey, dancing's hard. And that's okay. You can fail a couple of these, so it's actually optimal to fail the longer ones. Oh, that's the good one. Yeah, and Fox knew where he was at with the count there and the dancing, so he just failed the last one. Good stuff. Dancing is success.
And so there's a lot of checks available to me here. So there's just going to be a lot of items. However, I don't have bombs, so I won't be able to get all of them. That's the first boss key.
Boss key to Dungeon 3.
And there's a map. So the dungeon maps are completely useless to me. However, if I do find any compasses are very useful. Because in this game, at least in the vanilla game, the game makes a chime whenever you get a compass item. So, like, whenever the compass has a key, and in Keysanity, the compasses for each dungeon will have their own dungeon-specific chimes, which is a really good thing. So, if you hear a chime, it's gonna be specific to a specific dungeon.
Starting to find those keys. Good, good. Use a couple more items like, you know, bombs and flippers would be really helpful right now.
Or just keep the boss keys coming. Ooh, okay. Alright.
That little chunk of rock looking thing is the final tune that we need for the harp.
Except I messed up the game. Don't think I have enough to... Oh, I saved it. Okay, I got 9. Right. Well, let's try this again and not miss. Yeah, my rupee count is actually very specific, so I kind of didn't want to mess up that further. Yeah, I'm gonna do the second one, 2, and that's a seed shooter.
Seed shooter is probably my favorite item in the entire series. Just listen to the sound it makes when you fire. The item that Fox has been using in the minigame is now the item that he won from the minigame.
I'm gonna do just one more, just because I want to get some, or it could give me 100 rupees. Never mind.
Making that money.
It's just my rupee count was really low. And if I don't find bombs from this next minigame, I'm gonna force getting bombs, which is not gonna be in logic.
Do we have time for a couple announcements?
Yes.
So we have all the bid wars for the rest of the marathon are now up. We've got bid wars going for Super Monkey Ball Deluxe. The Monkey Bid War, top 2 will be used. You have your choice of 4 characters. We have a variety of bid wars available for Lena's Inception, including the seed name, Lena's name, whether or not to save Lance, whether or not to save the Elder, whether or not to save Delvin, and whether or not to save Gammon. We also have bid wars up for Pokemon Puzzle League, which Pokemon to pick, Bulbasaur, Pikachu, or Squirtle. We also have the Celeste Lockout Bingo. Celeste will be coming up soon after Minecraft, so get those bids in soon. The Language Bid War, top 2 will be used. Chinese, English, German, Portuguese, and Russian are your options there. And we also have a bid war for the Celeste file name. Again, the top 2 will be used since that is a race. All donations, subs, and bits are going to Trans Lifeline. So let's get those donations in.
Absolutely,
So,
great cause.
in this minigame, while that was going on, I was just... You only need 100 rupees to... yeah, you only need 100 points, excuse me, to win, so I just was knocking it back so I didn't lose any points. However, this one I'm gonna get 200 points because that gives me bombs out of logic for the seed.
And so in this game, you want to be hitting the blue blocks and those fairies, the things with wings there. Oh, I guess there's also like imps, they're called. The red blocks and the imps are going to cost you points if you hit them. And Fox is just waiting because it's always guaranteed that you get blue blocks and one blue and a fairy right in front of you, and that's going to be enough points to get what he needs.
Okay. Alright, so there's the out of logic bombs. And so anything that I checked that's behind bombs, I put this portal in a really silly spot. So I had to jump over it. Ooh, and there's Gale Seeds. That's perfect.
Gale Seeds are going to allow Fox to just warp to any other tree that he's seen so far, but he has to be in the corresponding, you know, time to do so. He can't just warp to the present from here, but it's absolutely essential for just getting around in the overworld and just getting to places where he wants to very fast. Because up until this point, we just had tree warp on, which means there's just one tree that we can warp to right at the beginning of the game.
Now it's time for more dancing. This one's a little bit more tricky, but it's not too bad.
I believe.
Nothing's as bad as platinum dancing, though.
Yeah, Fox was counting this whole time. He can just afford to fail these last two and still get the item.
And it's a shovel. So it's a little awkward to do those bomb checks from where I was, so I'm just gonna do this right now. And here I'm just gonna do a trick just to get past these guards. Well, I was off center, so that didn't work. Let's try that again.
I've always struggled with this trick in particular.
Gonna run out. Alright, that should work.
Just zooms right past him.
So that's trick is non-logic, but this area is in logic. And there's a nice upgrade right there.
That is the level 2 sword. It does double the damage of the first sword that we got in this game.
It does. It doesn't do double the damage. The base damage for level 2 sword is 3 damage, whereas the level 1 sword is 2 damage.
Oh, that's interesting. I always just assumed it was double because it's level 2. I don't know a whole lot about this game, apparently.
But yeah, with the Toon Evaders, I could have gotten in here anyway. And yeah, swords are indeed progressive in this game. It is possible to have the level 2 sword be required, but it's never happened to me, and I only saw it happen to somebody else.
So as far as the story of the game goes here, Varan has taken over the body of the Oracle of Ages, Nairu here. And now we've saved Nairu, but Varan has instead decided to possess Queen Ambi, who's a queen in the past. So the situation has not really improved, but we have saved the Oracle. Yes, as Mashy is saying in the chat, the level 2 sword has a really useful feature of just being able to smash pots. So we know that Fox has the power bracelet, which allows him to lift pots, but the level 2 sword can actually break them just by slashing them.
And saving Neighbor there was hard required because she had a slate. So I'll grab that, I guess. Yeah, in the random, Ralph kind of just disappears from that. It's just to remove the cutscene. So there are also 2 more checks available in the past here, in this path area. Where the heart pieces like that one aren't randomized. This check, however, is. It's a ring. It's a gold luck ring, which is completely worthless. And I have to just go around this way to get the other one right now.
Ideally, as far as rings go, we're looking for rings that either increase damage output or decrease the damage that we take. Those are the best rings that we can get at this point, because I think it's safe to say at this point we don't really need rings to progress any further.
It's a charge ring. It's also not really that worthwhile there. I had to come back to the tree to fill up on Pegasus Seeds anyway, but just wanted to check whatever's behind this bomb area. There's a bomb wall over here. This bomb wall is really tough to find in the vanilla game. It's a scent seedling. Okay. Here, there's this check right here that I want to check, and then I'm gonna go check the. It's another boss key. That's really nice. And then I'm just gonna check this. This room can be a little annoying.
Yeah, this is the first time in this randomizer that we've seen these floor masters. They are a speedrunner and randomizers kind of a bane, actually. Oh, well, it's
That
actually
was
optimal.
intentional.
Yeah, so about to say, my heart always skips a beat whenever someone gets caught by a floor master. Like it was seen there, they just throw you back to the first room of the dungeon, which obviously in a speedrun is not what you want ever. But in this case, it was optimal.
It looks like the Talus Peaks chest over here is logical progression, from what I can tell. Octorok spawn, but right over me, but you have a little bit of invincibility frames.
Here, I just think it's impressive. Fox is using his knowledge of both overworlds, past and present, as well as the Tune of Ages, just to freely travel and get the item that he needs, or was trying to check.
Oh, okay, it's not that. It's the it's this check then. Oh, for some reason I don't remember this check after a little bit.
There's the
Okay.
flippers. Very important. So
I'm actually gonna go get the old mermaid key right now.
So in this game, it's kind of like the swords actually. You know, you have a level 1 sword and a level 2 sword. There's also a level 1 power bracelet, a level 2 power glove, and then there's also kind of technically like a level 1 flipper and a level 2 flipper. So right now, Fox can swim in the water that's like in this little place here, but we can't get across the ocean yet. For that, we need what's called the mermaid suit. And that's going to be another really important item to find.
I need to mark it too on the tracker, as well as this key. I should use echoes because I need echoes for this check. This check is actually pretty nasty to orphans, so that's why I went straight to it.
For a single item check, this is very far out of the way of anything else in the game. This guy would typically give you, once you play the Tune of Echoes, he would typically give you the Tune of Currents, which is the second song that we already have. Instead, he was just inspired to compensate us for our time.
I really should have grabbed mystery seeds from that tree. I just didn't think about it while I was there. Now, let's go check that dungeon over here.
I believe this is the second dungeon we'll be checking?
Mm-hmm. That's right. Oh, it's Dungeon 1. So, with the level 2 sword, you can just destroy pots with it. So, that's where it could be required in some seeds. You also get sword beams. I'll check and see what this ring is. I'm hoping that there's a good ring of some sort. Fortunately, that's not useful in the seed, but it's actually on the tracker. It's this one at the bottom. It makes you throw items farther. Okay, that's the can of Samaria right there.
Samaria is a rather interesting item. It's something that's in ages, but not seasons. It just allows you to create a little block. A lot of the time, this game will ask you to do little puzzles with the cane, and they just kind of involve pushing the block and guessing where, or discovering rather, where pits are. But Fox already knows so much about the game that he doesn't really need that.
Do we have time for a donation?
Absolutely.
Blaze donates $8 to bring our donation total now to $59.59, which bears mentioning because of the corresponding comment, which is, it's not $69.69, but it's a start. Let's get that goal. And the donation went towards the Celeste Bingo file name Bid War with the suggestion warning number.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Big thing about handling keys in general in Keysanity is that you don't want to follow the logic to a T. It makes your seeds last a lot longer. So all these checks require another key. Okay, why did I get both of those there? That's... And so I also got the level 2 switch hook in there. That's a really important item. Yeah, figures. That's the tuning nut right there.
Looks like the game is forcing a lot of back and forth right now, which is pretty typical of a randomizer in general, but a Keysanity, not unexpected, I would say. And we found our first Gasha seed. The Gasha seeds in this game, you plant them in an area of soft soil, and eventually they sprout into a tree and give you maybe like a heart container, or maybe a ring, maybe some rupees. We don't really concern ourselves with those in a randomizer.
Actually did find a good ring in the dungeon over there in Dungeon 1. So it was the heart ring level 2. So it's really nice, especially if you if you have to play it with low health. Like, keep in mind that tuning nut is still non-logic. So I probably should just go after it anyway, since it's another dungeon. So with the Tune of Ages, you skip a really long area known as Talus Peaks. It is possible for that chest or for you to do the vanilla Talus Peaks route in some seeds. It just doesn't appear to be the case today. Generally, once you have the Tune of Ages, you can just skip it entirely. And it saves like a couple minutes to be able to skip it.
So that's the minigame where Patch holds your item hostage while he repairs it. And Fox just knocked the enemies into a hole in one fell swing. Easy peasy. Now Fox has saved Symmetry City from inevitable doom. Now you can see in the present, this place looks much prettier.
It's Dungeon 5, okay. The fairy powder right there is another item needed to open in Vanilla Dungeon 7. Dimitri. Alright.
We kind of mentioned previously that since Fox has the flippers, just the flippers and not the mermaid suit, we can't really cross the ocean right now, but we can swim in certain water. That flute, we have access to Dimitri now, who can cross the ocean, so that's a possibility now.
So that means the one check I didn't do that's in logic right now has to be it's probably the other key for Dungeon 1. I might still want to just check it anyway.
Super efficient solution to this puzzle.
So I was playing a little careful because I had only one Pegasus seed left. There are 2 more checks that I can do here. And on the way I can just get some more Pegasus seeds.
think they're a little scared of you.
This fight can be a pain sometimes. It's just not.
So
All
you
right,
have
there
to
we
use,
go.
you have to use this big ball to hurt the mini boss here, and it just disappears after a set amount of time.
So this is the last check I can do in this dungeon. This is a completely dark room, and you're supposed to use the cane to figure out how to get around it. Because it's just invisible platforms, but I can just jump around it to get through it.
Yeah, unfortunately we have to leave right now because we do not have the big key for Dungeon 5.
I don't want to orphan this.
And here's Dimitri.
So if anybody knows me, Dimitri is my favorite of the three.
I myself am more of a Ricky fan, but it looks like we're probably not going to see Ricky here at all.
Yeah, we're not going to see Ricky this time. Oh, I was off by one. Oop. I want to warp to the Pegasus Seed tree, so I might as well check that other item anyway. It's gonna resolve a lot with the logic right now, I think. Okay.
Yeah, so earlier we found a mermaid key as well. This is the second mermaid key, so one thing that's interesting about Dungeon 6, Mermaid's Cave, is it has parts of the dungeon that are in the past and the present. So, correspondingly, you need 2 keys to open both of those parts.
I'm glad I didn't leave that check behind. Oh, it's Jabu. Okay. You want to explain this dungeon to folks?
I'll sure
'Cause-
try my best. So this is Jabu Jabu's belly, We are inside the belly of a big fish right now. This dungeon, we don't have the mermaid suit, but it is acting like we do, just because you need it to enter the dungeon. The big mechanic in this level, you'll see it's underwater right now, or this portion is. So we can't get to things like that chest that you just saw in that room. A big part of this level is just going to a certain room that allows you to change the levels of the water in this level to flood or drain certain areas of the dungeon accordingly, and then check it that way.
Yeah, and you only actually need the flippers to get through these side-scroller areas. So the mermaid suit could be behind this. And that's entirely in logic for the seed, because we didn't give like the best explanation for logic, but it's just to make sure the seed is completable. And I can't do anything else because I can't rise out of the water in this dungeon.
Kind of unfortunate because there's been we found the big key for here too.
Yeah, totally did. There's something here. If there's two keys like that.
Yeah,
So that puts the top four in logic.
This is completely randomized, so it's we always consider it extremely unlikely that we're going to find items for a specific dungeon within that dungeon. So we found, what is it, 2 small keys and the big key for this dungeon within this dungeon at this point. That's one thing about randomizers in general. Typically, you never expect to find an item that you need to complete a dungeon within that dungeon. There's just so much to check in the overworld that usually we don't it's kind of one of the last places we check within the dungeon where we need the item for those kind of things.
If anybody saw there was a key in that chest. So because of how these seeds work, that means that you do not need all the keys to complete this dungeon, or rather to complete the seed. You do not need all the small keys, and like it's like a beatable setting in like A Link to the Past for all of the Oracle randomizers. So that means that any check that requires all 7 keys in the logic, I do not need to check at this point.
You saw there in that room with the little switch that Fox stepped on there. I believe that flooded most of Jabu Jabu's belly.
It did. And this is a really interesting route that I get to show because this is available. We're gonna go back down the stairs, and then we're gonna use the fact that we can go through the water section without the suit to get across. And there are a lot of item checks on this floor.
That's neither here nor there, but this is Dungeon 7, and Fox is entering this dungeon with 6 hearts max health. I mean, Fox has the heart ring level 2, but it's still impressive that there's just no fear whatsoever.
You reminded me of the heart ring. I wasn't even thinking about it. Fortunately, I'm actually just going to quit the sword. This room lags quite a bit. when it's underwater. That's the only unfortunate thing, though. And there's the compass for this place. Not that I don't think I need it.
So as you can see there, just by wearing the heart ring level 2, it just allows Fox to regenerate health. Easy. All you gotta do is just wait there. Just wander around and wait. You'll automatically restore health. So that item, the sea chart, is usually what you'd use to get across the ocean to Tokay Island for the first time. But since we have Dimitri's flute, we don't really need that.
Alright, that's all I can do in this dungeon. So this room right here, like this floor in this corner has a lot of free Pegasus seeds, and it's really nice whenever you have to go through it. I just wanted to check this.
Hey, another slate. We have 2 out of the 4 slates that we need to beat Dungeon 8 now. Now this type of water here is the type of water that we cannot swim in without the mermaid suit right now, so we have to use Dimitri to cross.
Now check this dungeon here, which is exactly as I was thinking that it was going to be vanilla, so...
So typically, as we mentioned, the dungeon entrances are randomized, but this one just turned out to be the same dungeon it purported to be on the outside. We're in Dungeon 3 right now. Foxes is taking care of those, they're called Pole's voices, and they are automatically destroyed whenever they hear a musical instrument. So he just played Dimitri's flute and they blew up. And Fox is hitting a crystal switch here. He's going to go throughout the dungeon and hit 3 more of those, which is going to cause this little rotating mechanism in the middle of the dungeon to just fall to the lower part of the dungeon, which is needed to check everything and get to the boss.
This dungeon is actually full clearable because I have 3 keys and a shovel. So I'm going to go through the motions of checking literally everything possible.
Another slate. Just one more slate.
One more slate, and then I need the power glove, and then I can actually complete Dungeon 8.
Something that's interesting for like the any percent speed run, Dungeon 3 is for the most part very much we manipulate the RNG to get favorable outcomes and favorable just enemy locations. Like it's possible to hit this guy here twice with 1 bomb, but it's very hard to do unless you're manipulating the RNG. And if you listen when Fox slashes the sword, you'll hear kind of a mid-pitch, a low-pitch, and a high-pitch, and a lot of those kind of tone references are used to see where we are in RNG and manipulate enemies.
And so it's the what's going on here is I'm going to be using the seed shooter instead to deal with the room in question that you generally use the RNG manipulation for.
That little flower enemy is called a pea hat, and they're just that annoying usually, all the time.
So knocking this thing down reveals the chest, and I'm just going to grab it.
It's a map.
I'm not sure why I got hit there.
So usually when you get to this room, doing the game like as it is vanilla, you would not have the seed shooter here yet. You would get it later in this dungeon, but you would only have bombs available to dispatch those Armos, and it is a worlds easier to defeat those enemies with the seed shooter rather than bombs.
Oh, I've lost sword beams. But I should get it back if I just move enough, because the Heartwing level 2 is based off how much you move. See that sword beam that went off on the hit the last floor tile there, because you have to wait for the floor tiles in that room.
Nice Pegasus seed drop too. Now this is the room you'd usually find the seed shooter.
Yeah, I found 2 keys to Dungeon 6 Pass, and I need all 3 keys for Dungeon 6 Pass in order to beat it. Also, I didn't point out the major item I found in the Armos room. That was the graveyard key. That key logically blocks you from being able to access not 1, but 2 dungeons. So it often can be a bottleneck in Oracle of Ages randomizer seeds.
Absolutely. And this mini boss here is the reason that Fox needs the shovel for this dungeon.
Wow, what the heck was that? I hit him with a sword beam before he burrowed underground.
That is the fastest I've ever seen that fight.
So here I'm gonna go backwards through the dungeon so that I can get back to that warp, because the mini boss portal will preserve the state of the. This pea hat just really is not being nice. The mini boss portal preserves which state the rotating platform is at. That's a small trick to hit that switch through the wall there.
The intent of that room was just to use the seed shooter and then those little flippers to guide a seed through. But you can clip into the wall there, and your spin slash actually has a larger radius than just a regular slash, so you can just barely hit that switch and skip using the seed shooter in that room.
Okay, so that wasn't anything. You can use the feather here to get across this gap, and I can use this to get to the boss and beat the dungeon.
I've actually found that jump kind of finicky, so well done getting that.
Yeah, you can also do it without Pegasus seeds, but that's even more finicky.
And I think this is the first official kind of boss battle we're seeing here, right?
Right. That's generally the case for Keysanity because you have to get a lot to access the bosses. Often you can actually just be in a boss rush mode at the end, depending on where the boss keys are. What we got here? Just a like.
Oh my gosh, the like ring is amazing. You can turn into a like, but other than that, it's absolutely useless.
So I can do all the checks on the island. Keep in mind, I still don't know where the actual in-logic bombs are. I've kind of just stopped thinking about it, but it would be really nice to know where they were.
Another Gasha seed, wow.
I'm actually surprised there haven't been more, but the seed's been pretty open so far.
So earlier on in the game, we picked up the Scent Seedling, and we would usually plant it on this island, go into the future for just to get a new seed tree. But Fox already has access to all the seeds that we need, so we're not gonna plant it.
Well, that's another boss key.
Another little fun mini game here where we're throwing meat at Tokes.
I knew we threw that one too early, but wasn't too much of a problem.
Alright, so now we can actually go back to Dungeon 5 when it's convenient and beat the boss. Get that essence.
That check right there requires the level 2 switch hook in order to get. In some seeds, it's really, really isolated from everything else. Oh, I don't need to save warp. Alright, well, let's get to the graveyard. Actually, I really should have gotten more seeds. I'm just gonna do that.
So one thing really quick, that the randomizer in general, not just Keysanity, but randomizers in general for the Oracles games, they skip a lot of the cutscenes here. And another thing that they skip that I'm oh so happy that they didn't include in the randomizer is the first time you get to Tokay Island, In the vanilla game, they take all of your items, and you have to go on this giant trade quest to get all of your items back. And you don't have to do that in the randomizer.
So here I'm gonna buy a potion because I got enough rupees for it. You need a potion to save King Zora later.
Now we have a ghost friend. A rich ghost friend.
We've got this dungeon here.
So this is the present version of Dungeon 6. That's a good quality of life find there. Fox automatically gets a seed refill on everything he has in his satchel, and he can carry 50 of each of them now. And as you can see there, Fox is using a scent seed to attract all of the monsters in that room to that one area. And in this case, they just all throw themselves down a pit.
Let's try that again. Should run out, yeah.
Ah yes, there are plenty of Wizrobes in this dungeon. There are 3 types of Wizrobes in this game. There's the green Wizrobes, which just disappear and reappear in the same place every single time. There are the red Wizrobes that disappear and reappear in just random places. And then there are everyone's least favorite enemy in this game, the blue Wizrobes, which disappear. They just wander around and decide when to disappear and reappear, and just go to town shooting their beams whenever they are visible. There's one particular blue Wizrobe that we might see soon here. That is my personal least favorite enemy in the game.
I'm gonna do a dive into Dungeon 8. Yeah, should be fine. Oh, I didn't check my bomb count. I'm just gonna get a few more bombs.
Here we are in the Floor Master room again.
That bomb missed.
Now, Dungeon 8 being the last in the dungeon series here in the game, there are only 8 dungeons. Only 8 dungeons. It is the 8th here, and being the last dungeon in the game, it requires a lot of the progression items to navigate just through the dungeon. We still don't have one slate, which is going to allow us to progress a little in the dungeon, but there's still a lot to check just because of the items that we have.
So you can use the sword beans to hit that switch right there.
Not a lot of useful stuff so far.
Yeah, I don't have the power glove, so a little bit of a risk coming in here, but shouldn't be too much of a problem. It's just a ring. So powering level 2. Okay.
Nice. That's one of the rings that's going to increase damage output. Pretty good find. The other side of that ring is with the power ring level 1, 2. Excuse me, level 1, 2, and 3. You also take more damage when you get hit and you have it equipped. So it's kind of a double-edged sword, but for the sake of just doing damage, you might see Fox equip it later on a boss fight or something.
Yeah, I'm just gonna do a trick here. Okay. That takes me to the basement early. So we allow minor glitches, and this is one of the ones that we allow here. May take a little bit to get. Depends on.
And this is something that you found, right?
Ooh, wow, first try.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
That's marathon luck right there.
So what Fox did there is he basically switched places with an enemy so that it clipped into that little block and got above the stairs. That completely, I don't think that's it. I don't think that's in logic, but that's a big little skip.
It's 100% not in logic.
Oh, this is an extremely fun room. So these candles, it's the first time we're seeing them. The first time you see them in the vanilla game is in Dungeon 6. As you can see, you light their little wicks on their heads, and then they run around for a long time and then blow up. They do a whole heart of damage if they hit you, and that is a small room with 4 of them that is covered in ice. So a very fun room.
So the game normally expects you to have 4 keys to get down here.
And it is those little, they are pits that you see there that Fox is avoiding, and they are kind of tough to get around sometimes. It seems like they're always almost pulling you in.
Yeah, they're like the colored whirlpools. Out in like outer areas. I'll fight the mini boss from this way.
Equipping that power ring just to get a little more damage output on the mini boss here. Very nice one cycle.
Yeah, the dangerous part of that fight is actually when he changes to his baby bat form and not the other, because he's really annoying to hit. and you can just get hit trying to hit him with your sword. Because what the spell he fires is actually a baby spell. Okay, that's all I can do here.
Still looking for those two crucial items, like the mermaid suit and the power glove.
Yeah, they both can be buried in the seed.
Here we save the Goron Elder, who apparently wasn't in any real danger because he just kind of shrugs it off and is like, oh, I was going to be fine either way, but thanks.
Think I have to beat this dungeon? Yeah, this is a randomizer, yes. For Keysanity.
When I first played this game, this was one of my least favorite bosses, but now it is one of my favorites, actually. It's a little puzzle boss. You use the cane to kind of merge the little parts that the boss is split up into, and then you can defeat it from there.
Okay, sure. I've never done that before. I should probably try to do that every single time. I hate that phase of the fight.
This is actually a really clever way to get all of these pieces merged. Fox first uses the sends the little ones to the outside of the map, or of this room, so they're going along the outside of the wall instead of these little blocks that are everywhere.
Okay, I must be missing a check. Oh, I know what. I forgot to do the basement of Jabu. That's where it is. Okay. I kind of just left after doing Jabu, but that's fine. Yeah, Jabu's the past entrance here.
Do we have time for a few reminders?
Yeah, go ahead. I have to. It's gonna take a bit to get up to where I need to be.
All right. So, folks, we still have a ton of outstanding bid wars going on. Celeste is coming up soon. We have the bid war for that for the file name. Currently leading is Warning No with $8. We also have the language bid war. several languages to pick from there. Pokemon Puzzle League, you can pick the starter Pokemon, and a bunch of stuff for Lena's Inception. Also, we have Super Monkey Ball Deluxe, the Monkey Bid War. Top 2 will be used. Currently, we only have one, Mimi, with $40. All of the rest of them are still open. We also have the Minecraft World Name Bid War. Currently leading is $50 for this world name is 32 characters. And we have 2 outstanding goals for the bonus game after the finale, Super Mario Odyssey, Any Percent by Sarah and Mew. And also we have Super Monkey Ball Banana Blitz HD, changing the category to all bosses. That currently has no donations towards it, so that one is open.
So you can push the block up there from the top 4 to get to the red switch, which lowers the water. Gosh, there it is. What? That's the last location. That feels bad.
Still a very important item to find.
Alright, I'm gonna beat this dungeon.
Rando gonna rando. Truer words have never been spoken.
Honestly, because I made such big progress with all the under dungeons, it wasn't that much of a... It isn't that much of a hassle. The important thing to note here is that this dungeon beating this dungeon has not just the check on the boss, but it also has another check attached to it. So you get 2 items for beating this dungeon compared to every other dungeon, which is just 1.
This boss fight is actually quite easy. Pretty much you've seen 2 different attacks from this boss already, and those are the boss's only attacks. When you switch with it, it changes colors here, and it can only get hit by energy balls that are the opposite color. So every time it fires off one of those attacks, you just switch with it, and there you go. That's the boss.
He's really just not being nice to me right now. Oh, and that puts us everything else in logic that isn't bomb launch. Okay.
We also have a new donation from Trixie for $20. Says, let's see if we can fox up the Minecraft world name a bit with a world name suggestion now of Frolicking Fox Soul Forest.
Love it.
So there's a one-off check all the way over here, and I just want to do it immediately so I don't forget about it.
One thing to mention with the mermaid suit, when Fox had the flippers, you would just hold one direction on a D-pad, up, down, left, or right, and then pressing A would give you a little kick, a little boost to speed with the flippers. With the mermaid suit, he's actually tapping directions on the D-pad because you just get a little tiny burst with each press. There's no need to press the B or the A button for that speed.
Then this one's also a bit of a one-off too. It's also a gaseous seed. Okay. Better just hurry along. So the big thing that's open now is the southwest quadrant of the map. Yeah, we're talking about donating for foxes. Please do. Foxes are great, and foxes are life.
Foxes are great.
I am in no way biased at all.
And these wiggly little blobs you see on the overworld, they represent pollution, really. If Fox touches them, he'll take damage. He can't navigate through them right now. But he does have the fairy powder, which will allow him to clear it out.
So in terms of like not dungeon key items, I still need the power glove. I don't need that. That's another Pegasus seed tree. I still need the Tokay eyeball and the crown key. Just gonna play the song here so I have access to the past tree, because this tree is available in both past and present. It's really nice for that to be Pegasus seeds right there, just because it's in both eras and you can just warp to it if you need any more seeds.
Wolfie just donated $21 to bring us to exactly 6K.
Hype, yes.
Sweet.
Heckies!
And so there was King Zora, and you had to heal him with the magic potion. That's necessary to get into the dungeon that's nearby.
And here Fox is using that library key that we found earlier to go into this room, check the item. It looks like it is just bombs. No need to do that.
Those are the logical bombs. That's why I started laughing. That's a bad spot for those.
Yeah, that's horrendous.
That's nothing. This is why, like, sometimes bombs can just be in a really terrible spot, and it's really good to skip. To just skip having to deal with that.
And now the seas are no longer polluted. As you can see, all those little wiggly things are gone off of the overworld.
There's one more check that's available here. So this chest is like sitting alone, and you have to clear the water to get to it. Ooh, double-edged rings. Let's go. That's great ring right there.
That's pretty much going to allow for the max output of damage.
To explain how it works, the double-edged ring, you take 1 heart of damage, but you also get your damage output. It adds 8 to your sword slashes. 8 damage to your sword slashes, so it's quite a bit. Not. Alright, you have to exit and re-enter to open the dungeon with talking to King Zora here. The make you pass small key. Fortunately, I already had the shovel, so it wasn't worth. It's completely worthless in this scene. Here we got Dungeon 4.
And Dungeon 4 is a very mean dungeon. You're going to see a lot of enemies here, and none of them are too kind.
We're doing this again, aren't we?
Just full of keys, this dungeon.
Yeah, we're totally doing this again. Oh my gosh, this happened in the practice run. This dungeon is a troll. This dungeon is a troll in Keysanity, where it often has its own keys.
Also, in my opinion, very good soundtrack in Dungeon 4 here. There are a couple places in the game where it asks you to pull this lever to kind of freeze over the lava or solidify it so you don't take damage while going over it. And this room is has very special enemies. You'll see that's awesome. That's a very efficient way to do that room. Fox charged up his sword for the spin attacks there, and only uses spin attacks to hit those enemies because they have a tendency just to jump away when you use a regular slash. So the best way to dispatch them is exactly how Fox did it there.
Wow. That was a really mean spot for that Stalfos right there.
Just Dungeon 4 being Dungeon 4, really.
I don't need to check that.
You can see Fox recognized the sound of the little jingle there. It indicates a key that we don't need anymore.
Yeah, it's a key for Dungeon 3.
Very nice.
That's nice, but that means that the Big Bay game has something, I think. So I have to come back.
And we're back to Rolling Ridge.
It's not this.
This is a fun mini game where they just throw bombs at you, and
don't
you do
need
your
to
best
do
to
it.
avoid them.
It was a map. It was a map. Wow. Okay, I didn't check that. That's where. Remember. So I talked about this yesterday with Puffy. Remember this check where I said it's really nasty orphan? I accidentally orphaned it.
I do remember this one.
There we go. So all 5 keys are for D5, so there's something there.
In any randomizer in general, it is one of the big challenges is just keeping track of everything that you've already done, everything that you haven't checked yet, and Keysanity ramps that difficulty up tenfold.
Especially in this when there's so many keys.
We have a new donation from Pepper for $9 with just the comment, "Did it work?" Yes, it did.
Nice.
Okay.
This room is where you would find the Cane of Samaria in a just regularly.
All right, so it should be in the back.
I should mention, another thing that makes Keysanity especially difficult is just in the dungeons themselves. In a regular randomizer, the dungeon's compass and map would be in that dungeon every single time. So depending on the items that you find first, you can usually skip a couple checks just because you can logically rule out that they're an item that you need or not. Like, if you know that just the compass is left, you don't need to check that chest at all. But Fox here needs to check pretty much everything unless he's certain that it's a key he doesn't need or otherwise. It's just a lot more to think about and a lot more to be doing.
Sure, why I went around that way. Oh, it's... So this puzzle, if you do it right, which I actually messed up a little bit right there, you don't have to use the cane at all. And what is... That's a spot. That's a spot. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's a progression item that's deep, deep in a dungeon.
So I'm pretty... I don't actually have that as much left as people might think. I need the crown key, one slate, the power glove, and then a D4 key, and then the D1 boss key.
Kind of mentioned it earlier that a lot of Keysanity really ends in a giant boss rush, and that's kind of what we're ramping up to right now.
Yeah, that's very much looking like where it's going. Also, this is the most dangerous part of the overworld right here, because there are Lionels and Darknuts in every screen. Like, this is the place where I die the most, because it's that easy to die in this area.
And this is an absolute jam right here. And here we found the other portion of Dungeon 6, Mermaid's Cave. This is the past version, or the past portion of that dungeon.
And because I broke logic, I can full clear it. And I'm expecting this to be a logical double dip of this dungeon. Because... because I'm still a D8 small key from being able to do more there. From getting to that bottom floor. I need to check this chest over here. There we go, there's the power glove. Which means I don't have to ditch the Sea of No Return chest that's outside. Not sure how I missed hitting that first rope.
So here, you saw how much time it took just to get to that chest. So Fox just utilizes just a save and quit, go back to the beginning of the dungeon.
And as I expected... I got it. So having trouble hitting those keys right there. So you can use senses in this room, but they're not required. Like with the one in present. The one in present, you absolutely need senses to get through. In like non-Keysanity randomizer, that sense seed check can often be the boss key for Dungeon 6 because the boss key's in either present or past Dungeon 6.
So earlier I mentioned that there was a room in this dungeon that has my least favorite enemy, and there it is. This blue wizrobe, you have to push around that pot there to land on that switch, and this guy just likes to hit you when you do it.
This room right here is a bit of a pain when the blue wizrobe gets in your way.
And there it is again, the blue wizrobe just blocking you. Thank you for warping it out. Maybe that'll teach it a lesson.
I had to warp it out, otherwise I might have gotten grabbed by those floor masters. And if you get grabbed by those floor masters in there, you do have to do the room before again. Ooh, that's a really good ring. That's a really good ring to find. I'm probably gonna actually use it over the heart ring now, outside of damage or anything. So what this ring does, the Gold Joy Ring, is that it doubles all of your drops. And so where it is in the vanilla game is that it's actually that bomb wall that's incredibly hard to find in Rolling Ridge that I mentioned. It's there. Yeah, the floor masters we talked about earlier, but they do send you back to the start of the dungeon. And there are also wall masters, but there's only like one in the game, and it's like right before the boss of Dungeon 1. So it's not really like a big thing here. So say hi to the double-edged ring.
Hi, Double Edge Ring.
Bye-bye.
Taking that boss out in just 4 slashes is absolutely nuts.
Yeah, so with the double-edged ring equipped, your damage output for the level 2 sword is 11, and that boss has 40 health. So it's 4 slashes and the boss is dead.
Now you can see Fox is using the Power Glove to lift up those huge statues, and you need the Power Glove to lift those up. We're back in Dungeon 8.
Yeah, this is the most check heavy area right now because of having the Power Glove. Just gonna do that. There is a slate in here. I can beat the dungeon right now. So this room's fun, where you can just sit here and not have to deal with these floor tiles. But I do have to grab a chest up at the top.
So shields in the randomizer are usually not an item that causes progression. There are just a couple enemies that you can deal with the shield, and they're little spike beetles that require you to flip the enemy over. But you can also flip them over with shovel, actually, or you could just use Gale Seeds that Fox already has to warp them out of the dungeon.
Yeah. There's another key, so Um, there are a couple checks on the top floor, on like the second, like the bottom first floor. So the one above this one, I'm gonna get 2. Doing a rather interesting route here. Because I did the clip, I can just go right back up. I don't want to do that because there's chests over this way.
That Keys really did not want you to pull that lever there.
Yeah. Yeah, that Keys really didn't want me to do that. Okay, I'm gonna get to where the vanilla power glove chest is. It's just gonna be a little bit to get over there. Just have to turn that one toward that so I can get to it.
I always find it so impressive that Fox always knows where he's going in Dungeon 8. Dungeon 8 is a big puzzle in itself for anyone who hasn't played the game before. It is massive and it is hard to navigate. So Fox, it's impressive to know exactly where you need to go at any time in this dungeon.
So right here, I think this is the only thing I got left again. I'm just not checking the right things right now. Okay. Now it's gotta be present. Present Dungeon 6.
Do we have time for a few reminders?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okie dokie. So we still have bonus game 4 after the finale. The goal is still unmet. We are at $121 of $1,200 for that. We also have Super Monkey Ball, Banana Blitz HD, changing category to all bosses. We're at 0 of 300. We can still make that. And we still have Bid Wars up. Minecraft world name is still up for grabs. Minecraft is coming up next, so there is a limited time to donate for that. Currently, the options are this world name is 32 characters and Frolicking Fox Soul Forest. You can feel free to add your own though. There's also Bid Wars going on for Super Monkey Ball Deluxe, Lena's Inception, Pokemon Puzzle League, Celeste. All up for grabs. For those of you who may just now be joining us, we are raising money for Trans Lifeline. Trans Lifeline's hotline is a peer support service run by trans people for trans and questioning callers. Operators are located all over the United States and Canada and are all trans identified. If you are in a crisis or just need someone to talk to, you can visit translifeline.org/hotline to learn how you can connect. Thank you for being here.
Just got info that this dungeon is also key locked from that chime, and I also found the crown key, so... Okay, I'm one boss key from go mode. Or rather, I still need the slate. I always forget the slates. Let's go to Dungeon 2 finally, because it's over at Dungeon 5. I want the screen too far down there. Yeah, there's really not much left. I have all 5 keys for this dungeon. Either I should just go to the right first because I have everything. I don't have to worry about much. Well, there's one slate left.
This room, it's very nice to have Pegasus seeds because you can just get right onto that platform that Fox is riding up to the ladder right now. Otherwise, if you don't have Pegasus seeds, which you rarely, you don't in a speed run, and you usually have them in a randomizer, but if you don't have Pegasus seeds, you just have to wait for that block to descend so you can get on it again.
Yeah, once I find the last slate, it's gonna be a boss rush from here on. That's actually the last heart container. Yeah, it's just that I don't have much left to check. Like, I don't have to check anything once that happens.
And here's the mini boss for Wing Dungeon, and it's the only reason I can think of that this would be named Wing Dungeon. Again, utilizing that extra damage.
Mm-hmm. And hit that mini boss early enough so that he starts doing his later phase before he lands, and that allowed me to defeat him without doing another cycle.
Oh, thank you. The dungeon, Mashy, the dungeon layout is shaped like a bird. That makes a lot more sense then. I'm just a speedrunner. I don't look at the dungeon maps.
I didn't even know that either. I just looked it up. Controlled by the keys there.
So many Gasha seeds. So normally in that room you'd have to push a pot to land on that switch to keep the door open, but since Fox has the Cane of Samaria, it's really easy to just use the cane to press that switch.
And then another small thing that probably nobody has noticed, the power glove actually makes you push blocks faster.
Nice. Good job clearing that room.
That room is a little tricky, but it's generally easier when you use like level 2 switch hook or something to get through it. My gun count is fine. Just wanted to double check.
This boss is kind of a strange boss. You're gonna see Fox throwing bombs in the top of the little opening there. And each one of these faces correlates to a kind of attack. And the red face that you'll see here is the only one that does damage.
I just realized I never marked beating Dungeon 6, and I apologize. Yeah, you were saying...
Oh no, that's just it. The strat for this boss is just to stun lock him in that red face, and Fox did a perfect job on this boss, and that should be it. I guess that's the closest we're gonna get to Ricky there, is seeing a brief glimpse of Ricky's gloves.
Yeah. Really not much left. It's just... It's just either Dungeon 4 or Dungeon 1. So... So I do have to get back to where I was, so if you have any donations, now's a good time.
No new donations at this time. However, Team Fastest Furs is a group of furry speedrunners dedicated to building a strong community and using our powers for good. Our community is welcoming and opening to all, and we are currently hosting 2 charity speedrun marathons per year. For more information, you can join us on our Discord by using the command !Discord in chat. Thank you again for being here for this wonderful charity event. All the donations have been greatly appreciated. We have exceeded our $5,000 initial goal, and we are well on our way to hitting a $7,500 stretch goal.
Anybody's been seeing me get double hearts filled from all these heart drops? That's the gold joy ring in action right there. I messed that up. Alright, we're almost back. Just gotta get to the key block.
We didn't mention it before, but this is also a very mean room with these snakes, or they're called ropes in the game. If you come in with low health, there's a chance that you could just be hopping out of the minecart and take unavoidable damage from them.
That's actually happened to me before. So it's not fun if that happens.
I've lost at least 2 speedruns to one of those ropes in that room. It's heartbreaking.
This fight can be a little bit of a problem, so I'm gonna try to do it right. Okay. Because of the double edge ring, that's a one-shot on that second phase of that fight.
Very good fight. That is perfect. So in a vanilla game, this is where you would find the switch hook.
And there's the slate.
Perfect, perfect. I believe this is go mode then, right?
This is go mode, that's right.
And for anyone who doesn't know, go mode just refers to we can complete the entire game now. So it's just gonna be that boss rush that we talked about.
There's only 3 bosses left. It's a bit of a trek to get to this boss. Like, this dungeon's very linear. So, at the very end is the boss. It's after quite a bit of rooms.
Here again, just using the cane to make a puzzle easier.
This room, unlike the other 2 rooms that had color enemies, this one's completely random where they spawn. And because I entered go mode, I can skip this puzzle right here. This is a big puzzle with the tile gaps.
2 slashes will take that boss down with the double-edged ring.
And we just got another $25 donation from Hoop Dog.
Just trying to think of like the best way to get to the other 2 dungeons, because I got Dungeon 8 and Dungeon 1.
Well, thanks so much to Hoop Dog. That's actually that's my spouse there. Thank you very much.
Just grabbing those ember seeds for safety, just in case I need them.
And that is the reason that we needed those 4 slates.
This is the path to the boss right here.
And this is actually a very interesting boss fight. This boss has several stages, each has different ways where you can damage it.
Alright, good. That's the one you lose the most time if you mess up. And then this last phase, you can actually do a stun lock here if you just wait for him to attack. Takes 3 hits and he's down.
Perfect fight.
So I just have to get to the boss. There's not really much to say. Just say it.
We're just in completion mode here, which is really just defeating all the bosses, getting the essences, and then making our way to the final boss. I guess it's worth mentioning at this point then, in an any percent speedrun for this game, you've seen the little owls that are kind of posted outside of the entrance to this dungeon. If you hit them with a mystery seed, they give you kind of a little hint. And we use them to do wrong warps in an any percent speedrun, which just basically allows us to trigger a text box and a screen transition at the same time, and wrong warp to right to the final phase of the final boss.
It's gonna be faster to use the ring there. So I probably should unequip it going forward until the second phase of the final boss. Yeah, I'm just gonna equip the level 2 heart ring for now, and then I'll just re-equip it for the second and third phases of the bosses, of the final bosses. Yeah, there was a boss fight.
Yes, the adventure of Bleps is coming to a close here.
So we're going back to the Black Tower, which was the area I went to like right near the start of the game. But now it's completed and there's a bunch of enemies around. I'm gonna make it up to the top. There's one thing I'd like to mention up there, but if there's like a quick donation comment, that'd be fine for right now.
We do, as a matter of fact. Bananananan 33 donates $26, and I donated 9 to round it out to 69.69.
Nice.
Or sorry, 60.69. We're not quite to the 69.69 yet, but soon.
Alright, so in this upcoming room, there's a trick similar to the Darknet clip that I did in Dungeon 8 that skips half of this area. This area is like pretty much a maze, just about. Like a staircase maze. You'll see what I'm talking about here. It depends on how he moves, but he was nice, and so he's gonna come right here, and I can grab him. And that skips half of this area.
Oh, also exciting news. This also puts Frolicking Fox Soul Forest in the lead for the Minecraft world name.
Very nice.
Alright. Do you want to explain what this upcoming fight here?
Yeah, absolutely. So this is just kind of round 2. You saw the fight with Nairu earlier. It's going to be exactly the same thing that started off. But once we save Queen Ambi here, it's going to branch off into 2 other stages of the fight. So right now, this is just, again, kind of a remix of the original fight we had.
Fortunately, I had sword beams mess up damaging the first part. Oh, that was really good. That was 1 warp, so that was really good. Alright, I gotta equip this now. Gotta be a little careful. I hit her twice. I should have just waited until she was vulnerable.
Okay, so now we see Varan's true form, which isn't really the true form because it's another stage of the fight.
Alright. Had to equip the feather so I didn't get hit once more. I just don't want to take too much damage, but I should be fine for the final part. But the inherent risk of using the double edged ring is that you can die. So I just don't want that to happen. All right, so this is the final phase of the fight. Get ready on time because depending on whether or not she opens her head, it's going to be really fast. So, all right, time.
Very
Hey.
nice final fight. Ending with a time of 2 hours, 39 minutes, and 56 seconds. That's an amazing time for a Keysanity randomizer. This is an incredibly difficult thing to do.
Sub 2-4 is a good time, especially with where that Tokay eyeball was. That was a really nasty spot. Though I did last location that mermaid suit, I kind of got a bunch of keys anyway, so it wasn't that much of a problem.
Absolutely GG.
So yeah, I want to let the credits play so I can give some shout outs. So yeah, I would like to first give special shouts to Mashi, who's in the chat. If it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have started playing these because I first found it through watching him play it. So, and then person named Jangler's been the main dev for the Oracle's randomizers in the first place, and then all the people on the Oracle's Discord, the speedrunning Discord and the randomizer, it's the same Discord for both. So it's really nice to be able to spend time and learn how to play these and have fun while doing it. And so if you want to, if anybody's like interested in playing one of these, I'd suggest it. Though Keysanity has its own issues currently. It's a little bit out of date and it hasn't been implemented with the rest of the randomizer. That's alright. There are some more interesting things with like the regular set of the randomizer. There is a multi-world setting available if you're interested in that. If everybody knows what a multi-world is, you can play online with friends, and you share items between people. And I've been doing that quite a few times. I really enjoy it. But it does take a while. Multi-world seeds are even longer than Keysanity usually, especially with this. I think that's all I have to say. Thanks to Buffy for being here and helping out with commentary.
My pleasure.
And
Thank you,
yeah.
both of you. Great work on the run. Great commentary. It was a sight to see.
Yeah, every seed can be quite different, so especially with Keysanity, there's just a lot to it. and this is a like really strong key sanity because you have so many keys that you have to keep track of.
I mean, yeah, there were a lot. There were a lot of keys.
Mm-hmm.
Key items and actually just keys themselves.